D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
Welcome back to Three Old Friends. The Music Never Ends, our regular podcast with my friends Mike and Jose. My name is David, and we're back to we've been going through the ABCs of music, and we are now on playlist number 57, which would encompass the letters K, L, M, N, and O. Each of us pick one song from each of those letters. The only stipulation is it has to be a band, not an artist or a single or solo artist. So for this, we're focusing really on bands. And I had the opportunity to kick this one off. Before we get into the music or into each of the specifics of them and the order of it, I just start out and maybe talk quickly about what we think of the overall, how the playlist went. I thought it was a little bit interesting. We've talked about this in the past, that we're starting to look at different bands and different artists a little bit more than some of our comfort zone is normal. And that kind of forced us to do this a little bit when we did the ABCs. So we never quite know how the playlist is going to come together and the songs are going to gel. But this one had a lot of high energy and upbeatness to it, and I think it was a good playlist for that. I'll open it up to Mike and Jose, and any opening thoughts about this playlist.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's mainly really upbeat. It's let's see, I'm looking here. I think except for two, I either didn't know the bands I picked or I'd heard of them but not really heard their music. So it's kind of makes for an interesting exercise, when we do these playlists kind of over a chat thing, and we do it generally pretty quick, with a gap here or there. So it does really it's a challenge, and I think it adds a creative element to come up with something within these restrictions of these letters pretty quick. So I like how we did it. Generally, I don't really have any complaints.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was gushing ahead of time, so I'll go into hyperbole mode here. I think it's one of our best. I think this is the embodiment of why we do this in effect, in addition to, just enjoying music, is that finding bands that we've skipped over, that we didn't get a chance to, or we discarded early. Believe me, a lot of these bands I would have, earlier when I was younger, no, I'm not listening to that for whatever reason. And so to bring it all back and I need to reevaluate, check this out. And I sent y'all the list that 1, 2, 3, 4 were done in the 20th century, which kind of sounds funny to us, but four of these songs were from the 20th century. And believe me, I bet we can't name another playlist where we have that disparity in songs in the 21st century as opposed to, and I think it's one of the reasons I really enjoyed it. It has a lot of high energy and a lot of great songs that you're thinking, am I going to enjoy that? And just like a Linkin Park or Muse or am I gonna? And then you find yourself, man, I look forward to hearing that song. At times, like, man, or even and we'll talk about it, the Kaiser Chiefs. And I'll just a little preview. I love that song. I just thought it was great. So again, I guess I'm going a little overboard, but I thought that it really captured a lot of what we want to accomplish. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but even what I want to accomplish of listening to songs, enjoying. Like I said, I listen to this. It doesn't help that it's a lot of high energy, and when I walk in the mornings, that doesn't. You're not. You just it motivates you. It's a good motivation playlist. So okay, enough of that.
Well, I thought at one point that when we did this, it might be one of those kind of a competition of letters at times or whatever, where we say, oh, we're on L, who's gonna snarf up Led Zeppelin, or Queen, or one of the, one of the classic groups that we all kind of like. And it's been really not that at all. Those iconic bands that, yes, we've used them before, um, tend to kind of go to the wayside, and we end up picking new artists. However, when I kicked this one off, I didn't do that. So this is the one exception. Of my 5 selections, 4 of them were like, wow, where did those come from? Kind of things. But the first one I selected was Kansas. Now I didn't know if, probably Jose or Mike would take a Kansas tune or anything like that. But Kansas is one of my favorite bands. So it gave me an opportunity to kind of go through their catalog and listen to their songs again and think, what song do I want to put on here? Yeah, I could do Dust in the Wind, could do something that's everyone knows, but I went to their first album, and I don't know if I even owned this album at the time. But I've heard this song. It was called Lonely Wind, and I think I'd heard it on a live album they did, Two for the Show, and it was a
Lonely Street.
Lonely Wind.
Oh, I'm listening to Lonely Street.
I've done that before.
No, it's Lonely Wind.
Sorry, I didn't hear that song, but I do love
Well,
Lonely Street.
They have a song called Lonely Street. I didn't know that.
It's really good. Okay.
Okay, well, now you need to go back and listen to Lonely Wind. It's off their very first album. As I was saying, I had heard the song on a live one a few years later, where they did a piano solo, and then they went into the song Lonely Wind. So this is the first time actually that I had heard the original version of the song, which kind of surprised me a little bit. It's really melodic and acoustic in nature. Steve Walsh playing the piano and the vocals on it, but you can kind of get a glimpse of what Kansas is going to be. It is a slow ballad. It's probably one of the slowest songs on our playlist here. But again, it's kind of a peek into what Kansas is going to be when you listen to the song. Yeah, so I've started out kind of slow, and then we'll get into how this playlist picks up after this. But this is one of those old ones. 1974 is when that first came out.
Wow. Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, I had it up in front of me earlier, but at least 2, maybe 3 very well-known Kansas songs that got a lot of airplay were off that record. I thought it was a little bit later than that, but wow. Yeah, no, it's I did not know this song. I didn't have that record. I did see Kansas once in the early 80s, so it was a different band. They had a lot of the original, for all I know, they had all the original members, but they had some more contemporary hits, and they had added more kind of Christian themes into their music. I didn't realize until those later songs that they had an element of that. I think this maybe has a little bit running through it. I'm not really sure, I like the song. I'm just not really, like many of these songs, I'm probably going to be a broken record here soon. I'm not 100% sure what they're about. But the words are really interesting on this. And just one other thing. Well, no, I'll save it for the next song about how this list progressed. But I had Kansas. This will come up again and again. I had Kansas on my list, and the Kinks and some other things like that I was certain I was going to start with, and I was going to do Point of No Return was the most likely song by Kansas, but Dave stole that from me. So anyway, yeah, a lot of these other, you mentioned some other bands again, we'll get into it later, but I did have a lot of old time favorites on there. So anyway, good choice.
Okay, so now it's coming all into focus for me because Lonely Street is this song about this guy goes into the city, he has revenge, and someone's raped a woman, and I'm thinking, why did Dave put this on? This is kind of a dark song, and believe me, it is a great song. You know, it's bluesy, and the reason I like it is because even though it's in '75 and even Kansas, it leads into all these other groups. You know, you can hear elements of these other groups in some of these songs. So while I didn't get Lonely Wind, which I promise I will listen to, I did get Lonely Street and just thought that's such a killer song. But then I was like, man, the themes here is Dave, you know, he's talking about someone killing someone hooker. What the heck? You know, this doesn't sound like Dave normal. And now I know why. So
Well, Lonely Wind's about, like, if you're needing a friend and you don't have it, you can be out there and kind of, like Mike said, the Christian thing is like, well, God's always there, and like the wind is there, and that reminds you of your friends, you know.
okay.
So you always have your friend there. You know, the
Yeah.
wind's always there, you know.
Definitely sounds more up your alley than Lonely Street. I'll just throw that out there. So, but I do, if you want to listen to Lonely Street, I do highly recommend it. So, so then from there, I decided to go with the Killers. I don't know what K's I had, but I thought I really wanted to go to the Killers once the K came on because I knew I was never a really Killers fan. I know they're out there. I wasn't going to pick Mr. Brightside because I know Michigan uses it. And believe me, as an Ohio State fan, we do not champion anything Michigan does, especially that. So, so I, you know, went down their catalog and I found When We Were Young, which was also a massive hit. I didn't know it was a massive hit. Believe me, I must have been under a rock, but I just didn't listen to the Killers. But when you listen to the song, you know, you understand why they are so popular. They have some great lyrics. You know, again, I don't know, really understand, you know, he doesn't look like Jesus, but he's you know, stuff like that. You're like, okay. But I thought it was a fantastic song, so much so that at Goodwill, I even picked up this album just to listen to it. And it really is all songs. And I've heard that it was, these songs were heavily influenced by Bruce Springsteen. And so that's always kind of, I never made that connection. I was like, really? But I guess according to the interweb, they were heavily influenced. I guess they're from Las Vegas, but they're heavily influenced by Bruce Springsteen and some of his work. So thought I'd put it on there and thought it was a great song.
Yeah, like I'll say on many of these, I've heard of the band, and I did recognize this song, but they weren't really on my radar. But you know, I liked it, and it's interesting. I wasn't sure 100% what it was about. I think it having done a little reading about it, it's written to a girl. He's addressing a girl, and that made it a lot clearer. When did I just jump over you, Dave?
You did.
Hey, keep going,
That's
man.
okay. It's
Go,
all
you go.
good.
I'll jump in after, man. It's all
I
right.
saw that look on your face. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's all good.
Well, yeah, I'll come back to mine. I mean, get back to my song in a minute. Just I liked it, and it starts kind of a shift here, or I think the direction where we went forward with this song. But go ahead, Dave, and I'll be
Well,
better.
no, it was good. I think a good segue. That, you know, the transition from Lonely Wind or Lonely Street or whatever when you listen to this one was quite a bit of a contrast. And when I look back on the playlist, I'm thinking, man, it's the one song that Lonely Wind just kind of sticks out there, like, you know, doesn't really fit or something. Both from the time frame that it came from, and then the slow melodic nature, and then, you know, you kick it in with the Killers, and then Mike comes in with the Kaiser Chiefs, and we start setting that motion for it. So, not to spoiler alert, but I liked it. I liked the energy of the song. I liked the contrast of it, and then I felt like, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I kind of felt like after you two played those songs, I'm like, okay, Lonely Wind, you're out the door, man. I got to match Jose Mike's energy on this playlist. I got to come up with something big. So anyway, no, it was a good tune, and I look forward. Like I said, I didn't know the Killers, but all of these bands, I'm going to sound like a broken record as well. I want to start listening to more of some of these bands that are on this list.
Okay, now back to me. Yeah, so again, I'm sorry for that. But just kind of continuing with what you were saying, and I started to allude to, I went with the Angry Mob by the Kaiser Chiefs, and I was gonna do Kansas, and then my next choice was the Kinks. Maybe a few others I can't think of right now. King Crimson, but none of those kind of really were good. Followed this the Killers. And so I was like, pretty much at that point, all the old bands in my mind were kind of thrown out the window unless it started going a different direction, which we didn't really ever, and until kind of the end. And then we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But the Angry Mob, okay, so Kaiser Chiefs, I guess they're named after English Football Club. And then the band, I have no idea about their history. I'd heard of them, but this is one that I had not, before we made this list, I had not listened to any of their stuff. Preparing for this, I did, and I'm like, oh, I like them. There are a couple of bands like that that I really like that. I'm gonna have to check that out, and I found a few, and this one, it's pretty much, it's like what the name says, you know, an angry mob. It's, you know, that kind of mentality, and the individual, you know, doesn't stand a chance against a mob, but or within a mob, you know, you're kind of ruled by the mob. Um, uh, anyway, but yeah, and I liked it. I think I had a couple others, but I picked this one because of that driving guitar pretty early on, and then the arrangement that goes along with that. So
Yeah. Now, I have to say, it's one of my top songs on this playlist. From the get-go, I just thought it was great. And I think, from here all the way down to, Nickelback all just energy, just pulsating from song to song. And I thought they all blended well together. And getting back to the Angry Mob, apparently that's also the name of their fan club, the Angry Mob, So, but they wrote this song, and I think it's catchy. It obviously has that hook. We are the Angry Mob. We hate who we hate. We read the papers every day. We hate which is prevalent to today. Whatever side you're on, there's a mob mentality. If there's a mob mentality, sometimes it gets the best of us. And depending on what side you're on, now you can violent, not, but the Angry Mob, And so it's funny when we get a song like this that is so prevalent today. Even the chorus, even they know it's kind of tongue in cheek. It's like, hey, we are the Angry Mob, but why are we angry? We're angry because we're just angry because we want to hate who we hate. So just thought it was a fantastic song, and I thought it went well with the Killers, and then straight into Dave's choice.
Yeah, I found myself coming back to this song a few times too on the playlist. It's probably one of my favorite on the list. I don't know that the title matches it. When you think Angry Mob, first thing I think of is like, I don't know, Black Sabbath, Mob Rules, or something like that. But it's not that. It's a different type of song. But you're right. After the Killers, and then the Kaiser Chiefs, and then I talked about this before. Sometimes when you listen to my playlist, the after playlist starts playing other songs. So I was able to hear other Kaiser Chief songs later on after I listened to this playlist, and start kind of really liking their vibe, liking their sound. And so I'll have to check out more of them. But again, as I said earlier, then I felt like, man, I got to match the energy that Mike and Jose are coming with. And so we get to L, and there's again, I mentioned Led Zeppelin and some others, Leonard Skinner and others that we could have picked, but I had never really listened to any Linkin Park, and so I said, all right, Linkin Park, this is going to be one of these ones. So I previewed probably 7 or 8, 9 Linkin Park songs. I listened to quite a few of them, tried to see what I liked and what I didn't like about them, and then I hit on this song, and I was trying to think of something also that I wanted to do something newer, like whatever. And I think this was off 2024 album that they just put out or whatever. So it's really, really one of their newer ones. And I hit on the song "Cut the Bridge," and I'm like, yeah, man, it's got this kind of a, I don't know, it's got some rap in it, it's got some, some funk in it, it's got some high energy, with the chorus, "Cut the Bridge" part. And I don't know, I liked it. I liked it. It's probably my favorite song on the whole playlist. Even though it's the one I picked or whatever. But again, leading up to this, I didn't know Linkin Park from Asbury Park or anyway, whatever.
Lincoln Park's in Chicago.
That's in Chicago. Yeah, I knew it was in Chicago.
But it's spelled differently, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's a different Lincoln, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I think their music is pretty good, and I don't know, something different to put on, and tried to match the energy that was going. So we definitely kept it going with the Linkin Park.
You nailed it.
Yeah, I agree. That was what I was thinking when you put this on. It's like that really goes well after that, and it does. It's just cut it down. It's just driving about there's a lot of relationship songs on this one, and a lot of bad relationship songs on this one. It's like this guy, I guess, is burning the bridge down just to see it burn, break up the couple, whatever. I'm not going to analyze stuff, but I thought that I'd heard of them. I don't know why I was thinking they were a completely different type of sound. But I think I've even heard this one on the radio and just never made the connection. So I don't have really anything else to say about it. It's just nice driving song.
No, that's a fantastic choice. Again, on par with Kaiser. This song, boom, that back to back. You just can't get enough of that, And I'd heard of Linkin Park. Obviously, when I was hanging out with college kids, obviously you hear Linkin Park. They were pretty popular for a while. So it's amazing that, and I kind of knew that was their sound. And, like Dave says, I don't want to call it that white boy rap at times that happens, but in this song, it works even better. I like the lyric, "I'm a tightrope held up by a cloak holding out, but the pressure keeps growing." He's that right in the middle of that song, and just with such fervor that, man, this song is really fantastic. So excellent choice. Like I said, that's why, again, I'm acting like this is like Columbus discovering America, Oh my God, look at all this, and so even though it's been there forever. So a fantastic choice, Dave. See, and again, I think this is when you bring it back. All of a sudden, we find that, like you said, I got to match his energy. So all of a sudden, choices that we were going to have, like sometimes we go a little mellow. There's no doubt about it, but not in this one. No, God forbid someone pick a mellow song at this point. So I went with my tried and true Luscious Jackson. I love Luscious Jackson. I know they're not the most popular. They only had like 3 or 4 albums, but I felt this is one of those kind of songs that has a lot of energy. It's not really about anything, just having fun, enjoying life. And so I thought this kind of fit right into it. So put it right on. Just thought it would work. So
with that, so this is an all girl band then? I didn't really
yeah.
on that. I know when we did the women, you put one of the songs on there, but I didn't pick up on the fact at that time, that was way at the beginning of us doing these playlists, that this was an all girl band until I looked up their pictures and saw their profiles and stuff. And yeah, they have a cool vibe to them. I like this song. I think it took it down a notch from the Cut the Bridge, but still kept that funk going. I think you mentioned that they were named after the basketball player from
Right.
from the 60s and 70s, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's not spelled the same.
No, it's different.
It's not it's the S isn't in there, so it's just, you take the S out, it's Lucius Jackson, but if you put the S back in, I guess you pronounced it correctly. It's Luscious then instead of,
Luscious Jackson, yeah.
well, it's Luscious because I like the sound. So what do they do now? Give me more of the, feed me more.
Yeah, I had heard of them, and I had heard this one on the radio. What's it? Here is the name of it. I Nothing really I have to add. Exactly what you guys said. The only part I don't. What does she say, or whoever? Ow. It's like that ow is in there. Is it just kind of a? Is that kind of just like a Sinatra going shooby dooby doo and Strangers in the Night? Or anyway, I always when I listen, I was like, what? Why is she hurting? What's anyway? It's a good song, and yeah, it is. It's keeping the driving stuff up, and so there was no way I'm going to follow with Led Zeppelin. I can't think of another L band now, but there were or the Lemonheads, and I don't really know them that well. I'm not sure I like them that much. So I have this one band I like. It's the Lonely Island. It's I guess you could call them a band. It's kind of a comedy group, but they do music, and it's like so many of their songs are somebody just not getting the concept of something. I'm trying to think of another example right now. I threw it on the ground. I don't know if you know that. A lot of them there's videos for. Anyway, it's Adam Sandberg and a couple other guys that I should know the names of. Akiva something. Anyway, but they often have prominent guests on the song, and this one is called YOLO. It has Adam Levine and Kendrick Lamar on it, and we all, I'm sure many people know that YOLO, you only live once, but they kind of don't get the concept. And it's like, you only live once. It's like, so live it to its fullest. Well, they're taking, you only live once, so watch out. You only have one life. Don't get yourself killed. Um, it, I know that we don't do a lot of comedy on these. Prison Farm was was an example way back in the day. I do like though that they bring in these other musicians. I think the part with Kendrick Lamar is he's giving sound financial advice, investment advice during the song. But it cracks me up, and it does have that. It does have a good sound. So just threw it on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're obviously very popular in this. That was my only thing is this really a band? And okay, I guess it is, I guess it ain't. I thought, it's a group, it's a troupe, they do this, it's for comedy. So not that I don't like the song and it's hilariously funny, like most of their stuff is, and you catch yourself laughing because yeah, who's gonna wear titanium wear a titanium suit so you don't get hit by a piano, or what, or furniture or stuff like furniture.
Oh, it's 2 words about furniture, killing
Yeah.
machines.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's a fun loving song, and maybe sometimes we do need that kind of take a little pressure off. And so, yeah, they have a lot of great songs. Again, enjoyed it.
Yeah, I didn't know about the group, and I think I remembered that you mentioned the guy Adam Sandberg does stuff on Saturday Night Live, but I hadn't kept up with that either, and so I didn't know it wasn't a real band at first until I figured that out, that it's kind of a band, but they're just doing these kind of a parodies and stuff. But I thought it was really funny, and it fit well in the playlist because it had that energy and that kind of that rap to it. I like some of the lines that are in there made me laugh. And we said, "Stay the hell away from drugs because they're not legal. Then bury all your money in the backyard like a beagle." I mean, like, who comes up with that? It's just pretty funny. I mean, I don't know. Because it just goes on and on and on. But it's a good listen when you listen to it, and it fits the playlist, and it keeps the energy going, and all of the above. And then we get into M's, and there are so many ways I could have gone. I mean, this is where I could have just went, all right, I'm going Moody Blues, or some of the other ones that are out there. There was a lot of M bands, and then I said, no, I'm gonna keep looking for bands that maybe I know a couple of their songs. On Matchbox 20, I there was a song called 3 a.m. It Must Be Lonely. I think I was going to put that one on, but I couldn't find there was actually an acoustic version of it that I've had on my playlist, but I couldn't find it. So I said, all right, well, let me listen to some other Matchbox 20, see if I can find a cool song that maybe a mid-tempo song that kind of would go after that. And I came up with this one, Don't Get Me Wrong. And I kind of first time I heard it, I said, yeah, this sounds good. I'll put this one on. Again, don't know much more about Matchbox 20 and their thing. Who's the lead singer?
Rob Thomas.
Rob Thomas, right? That's about all I know about it. And he went off and did some solo stuff, did the stuff with Santana, right?
Right.
That kind of thing. So that's about all I know about it. But I don't know if they get a bad rap or not, like some bands. But anyway, I thought the song had the right feel for it for the playlist, and so I threw it on.
Yeah. Does anybody, Jose, maybe you have a better idea. I had heard of them plenty, and I know I've heard some of their songs, but I can't think of. Do you know any other songs you can
Yeah,
name?
Dave called out their hit, which was that one, and then this one as well. But yeah, they've had several hits. They were big, but of course, like Dave said, they get knocked down a little for being a little too poppy, I suppose. But I don't agree with that. But yeah,
I remember when I one of the last retail type jobs I had, probably the last one I had. I worked at Blockbuster Music, which had been Sound Warehouse, and we had this person that would come in and try to get us to push certain new groups, right? And this was one of them. And she was like, really, these guys are going to be the next thing. You got to get people to listen to this stuff. We'd get to pick out like what songs we wanted to hear over the sound system. It was a record player. I guess it was CDs. And so she's like, I want you guys to put this in the rotation every 2 or 3. It's like, okay. Anyway.
So a couple other songs. Breakfast at Tiffany's was another one.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Last Beautiful Girl. Couple
yeah,
songs.
they had some hits out there.
I think if in the case of a lot of these things, if I heard the song, I'd instantly know it. The name, not necessarily, but Breakfast at Tiffany's is definitely very memorable. So yeah, and of course Rob Thomas, Smooth, very unforgettable. I like that song. I
Yeah,
like
you
that.
can't get away from that song though. Back when it played.
Yeah, I know. It's like the only time I think.
Forget about it.
It's
Even
like-
Dave's got it down.
It was I'm not dissing my wife in any way here, but this is, I think, the one and only time so far Santana has been on her playlist, which is a great song. So anyway, I think that's all I have.
Yeah, nah, it's a great choice and it really fits right into the playlist. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm not a Matchbox 20 person for sure, but the lot. What's the line that they keep saying? Sometimes I hate you, but you feel so nice. I think we've all been there at some point with somebody. Sometimes I hate you, but you feel so nice. A great little line there that they stick out in there, and of course the song is really fantastic. And yeah, again, and I'm gonna be the broken record is that groups we would just discard or not even think about. Like this would never enter my sphere back in the day, or even obviously even now until now. Now, boom, opens up a whole new avenue. So from there, I kind of went back to Mumford and Sons. I put them on before. This song is The Cave. I just like their sound. I just think their sound is great, and I think I want to see them in concert now. And I know they're touring, but the 2 songs that I played, I'm just like, wow, have I been missing this? This is what I've been missing. So, and again, this is one about freedom, getting away from relationship, if you want to say so, And I just thought it had a great catchy tune and a great strong message. So that's why I put it on.
Yeah, I'm not getting tired of Mumford and Sons at all. For some reason, though, this song took it down a notch. It was a little bit slower tempo and everything. the first time I heard it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's Mumford and Sons. All right, didn't seem like it had the same energy as we were going along in the playlist. So it kind of brought it down a notch for me a little bit at this point. But after I listened to it a couple more times, then I'm like, oh yeah, it's got that classic the Mumford and Sons sound, and it's a good song. It really is. And I don't think I think their genre, the way they play it's all good. I agree, Jose. It's probably one of those groups that I probably would want to see in concert too. So this is a good song. It just, for me, when I was listening to it didn't seem like it had the same energy as the previous songs, which is okay. It kind of brought it down a step. And again, after I listened to it a few times, I started liking it a lot more. But the first time I listened to it in the playlist, I'm like, I don't know. But after a while, it grew on me.
Definitely happens to a lot of songs.
Yeah, same thing. It's like that you hear it. And if you hadn't have told me who it was, I would have known. I would have recognized it. And I've got to add myself into the group. I would love to see them live because the types of instruments they play, I'm sure there's a lot of room for improvisation. And you've got, this song has a banjo. And strangely enough, I really love a banjo in a song, and not just bluegrass. So it was nice to kind of, I mean, Pete Townsend has played the banjo in Who songs. So, but anyway, it's a good song. I didn't, I'm trying to think why I picked mine. My band was called, the song was Won't Stand Down, not to be confused with the Tom Petty song, which is similar name, by Muse. And I think I picked Muse in part because one of the two of you had mentioned it, them or before that point, but so I kind of checked them out. Okay, I kind of checked them out, and I'm like, well, this is interesting. I've never heard this, and there were a couple of songs I liked. This one, I think, what really got me is the same thing as the earlier song. It's like it starts out kind of quieter, mellower, not real mellow, but then it goes into this real driving guitar, and mood in the chorus, and they kind of go back and then back. And so I'm trying to think if I have the lyrics here. I think it's another one of those somebody treating somebody bad songs.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I got. So go ahead.
I've opened my eyes and counted the lies, and now it's clear to me you're just a user and an abuser and refuse to take it. And I refuse to take it.
Yeah, that's pretty definitive.
And
It's
with
not-
that drive, with the driving vocal, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. Yeah, it's a good song. Am I talking? Did I go out of turn? No. But yeah, so I'll just keep harping on that. Yeah, just a driving great song with a lot of that heavy guitar, him with the vocals matching the same kind of energy that both coming out. Again, another, Dave, I think you picked a lot of great songs this time, and even if I didn't get Lonely Wind. So yeah, I thought it fit right in, brings the energy again. Oh, that wasn't you, was it? That was Mike.
Yeah,
Who's
and
picked?
I had mentioned it just because I was doing
You
searching
mentioned it.
around,
And then
looking at.
so Mike, you picked that. So yeah, it was a great,
Yeah.
great choice. My bad. So yeah, both of y'all have been picking some fantastic songs. So yeah, it was a great choice, and I just enjoy the heck out of that song.
Yeah, I liked it too. I had when I was looking at M songs or groups with M, I came across Muse as well and played two or three of them and thought, man, that's why I put in our chat. Hey, have any of you ever heard of Muse? Because I kind of hit on it too. I'm like, man, this is pretty powerful stuff. And so I'm glad, Mike, that you picked a song from them after I'd already used my M. This is a cool song. I like how the energy and the drive of it. I like some of the lyrics too. Won't stand down. You've used me for too long. Now die alone. Now I'm coming back. A counterattack. I'm playing you at your own game. I'm cutting you out. Out a shadow of doubt gonna hang over your name. I mean, it's got some pretty cool lyrics to it. But it's that driving guitar and that beat it's awesome. So yeah, probably listening to a little bit more Muse in the future. After that though, we got to the ends and I had a lot of choices. I mean, I was thinking of some different bands. Nazareth, I was thinking of, going back to the old school kind of stuff. And then I thought about Nickelback, and I've heard so many bad things about Nickelback. Like they have gotten such a bad rap, right? Like, and I don't know why. I didn't listen to the music, but like I almost put on Photograph because it's the one song I know by them, right? And why does everybody think that's a bad song? It's a pretty cool song. I mean, but I said, no, I can't go with the one song I know. Let me listen to a handful of other ones. And I came across this How You Remind Me. And again, it had a good energy to it. So I thought, all right, I'll put that one on. But I hadn't heard it before. I didn't know what it was. It was new to me. And I think it fit the playlist pretty well.
Okay, I'll continue continue that theme. I also had not really. I heard people gripe about that band, but freaking musical snobs coming speaking from experience as a musical snob. It's like get over it, people. Like you've also said, Jose, before, and I think we probably all agree that there's a reason why these bands are popular. And I like this song. Oh, I know I was going to say, uh, there was one time, I don't know why I remember this. It was several years ago. The Onion had a article, which is basically just a photo with a caption. There was a dad trying to convince son that Nickelback is not a bad band or something like that. Um, but I like it. Yeah, and it's the same thing again. We just really kind of had this going. Bad relationship and driving guitar, same kind of similar thing, and so we definitely hit on something here. And I think they really do. There's some points where we go up and down, and I think maybe at the end a little more so, but we definitely kind of had a good thing going. We're all kind of in sync, and I think that's one reason, even though it's many songs I'm not familiar with, maybe because of that, I like this playlist, and Nickelback is a big part of that.
I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment. But yeah, Nickelback, the minute you hear it, of course, that kicks, for some reason, that biasness just kicks in, like, Nickelback, ah. But then and this is the song that I really knew from them. And like, well, again, it's like Dave says, well, what's wrong with this song? What's wrong with this group? And they were huge. I mean, it's one of the probably the top make grossing band for a while, But the funny story is when I was working at ONU, they would always get bands to come in and play that were on the rise. And they had a chance to get Nickelback because they hadn't hit it big. But once they released these songs, they became out of our price range. I think we got like Third Eye Blind or someone like that. So anyway, it just goes to show you. But yeah, I've had that discussion. People, we don't give we listen to the biasnesses. We don't listen to the songs. We hear offhand. We kind of reinforce it in our minds that oh yeah, I'm not going to be listening to that. And then of course, deep down, you listen to it like, this is a killer song. This song works a lot. And so I've heard this song more than I think I've heard any of their songs. So it was great to hear it. And yeah, you get caught up and you start singing it. You start becoming like, oh yeah. So yeah, another great choice. I thought, but kept the energy up, and like Mike said, guitar and stuff like that. Ends Nirvana. I decided I was gonna get Nirvana. I know we were all racing around there, Nirvana, Nine Inch Nails, that kind of thing. So I went with Nirvana, All Apologies, which is a great song. Obviously, it's Nirvana and stuff like that. Did it bring the energy down a little? Yeah. Is it different? Because this one came out in 1993, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it was a little different. It took it a different element. I think it took it a little down. If I would have thought about it, I might have picked another song, but I decided to go with it. I thought it worked on some level, and of course, it obviously is a great song.
Am I next?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not familiar with much of Nirvana's music. That whole time period, I was getting married and having babies at that time, and wasn't and doing the Christian thing, and so I wasn't listening to any of the music that was out there on it. But I actually like this song. I mean, when I first think of Nirvana, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be some really grunge or some really heavy kind of stuff. But this song isn't that at all. It's actually very. It's got a good hypnotic beat to it, a good message, a good a good tune to it, and so yeah, a little Kurt Cobain, and again, I haven't really explored a whole lot of Nirvana, but I like this song. It wasn't ingratiating or anything like that to me, and so I was a little surprised by it with it when it was put on. I'm like, oh, okay, I can handle this. This is pretty cool. Same thing like with some of the other stuff that you put on where you put on maybe like a Pearl Jam song and I had never heard of Pearl, whatever. And it's like, oh, okay. So long as it's not the hard stuff, it's pretty cool. So yeah, not about all I can say about it.
Yeah, it's a shame with Nirvana, kind of like with Soundgarden. Well, I guess we've had Chris Cornell on Audio Slave, but not a Soundgarden song. And I don't think we've had a Nirvana song, which I intended to rectify, but was beaten to the punch this time around. But it was the thing where I was going with that was it's like it's hard for me to separate in my mind a lot of their music from what happened to Kurt. His life ending. It was right after this record. In fact, I think this record was still a lot of it was still just ascending the charts when he died. And I know that kind of angst and everything that's definitely in this song too. It was through his music, and it was who he was, but it also really was what made some of their music, so compelling. But I love this record, and setting that stuff aside, and I was definitely I hadn't I hadn't really picked up a plan B on my song. I was like, oh, nobody's gonna pick Nirvana. I've got, and I had a few. This is on my list, but it wasn't the top one. But it's a great choice.
Can I make a point right before you start your song?
Sure.
It is interesting that if you say Nickelback, people are like, ah, but if you say Nirvana, like, oh, deep, right? And that's what I'm talking about. People have those kind of, like Nirvana, deep, Nickelback, well, which is kind of interesting when you listen to both the songs. So just throwing that out there. And Nickelback came out in 93, Nirvana in 94. And so I think that's kind of hampers the biases of Nickel. Like, oh, why are you listening to, you're not listening to the grunge Nirvana, no, to the hipster, Nickelback. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, I think you're right on target with that. I mean, I was definitely listening to this kind of stuff back then, and people that listened to it, I mean, they were like, they lived and breathed this stuff, and it was like, yeah, it kind of fed their, I'm kind of rough around the edges, self-image, it's like this stuff, this is like this stuff, they feel it, it's like, yeah, whatever, but it is, I agree with your point, but I do really love Nirvana, and for that matter, Soundgarden. I think that's the next playlist we haven't gotten to yet. But I was looking at them too, but it's like so many of the songs, you read the lyrics and it's like, this is just so dark given how his life ended. Enough of that. So I'm like, well, in songs, and I can't really, there were some older bands again, and I couldn't really think of something. And then it just kind of, I was Nine Inch Nails. And honestly, I am not a diehard Nine Inch Nails song fan, but I had this record. The song's Hurt. It's off the Downward Spiral. Actually, I went through a pretty dark phase between when I got my first degree and trying to get a job after UT, and then got with the woman that I ended up marrying and went back and got my journalism degree and all that. It was a dark period there before all that happened. And so I really got into this record. And if you've heard the whole record, it's not much lighter than this. It's probably darker than this, the rest of it. But I heard a different song on the radio. And I'm like, I want to check that out. And so I go out and buy the record. And only after I bought it, I realized this is like, some bands will do this. They'll like put out a record, but then they'll put out a version that has another kind of record B that has a lot of the songs done differently. Or they may have a couple songs they left out. King Crimson did it on a record that came out about this time, which is 94 or 93. So this version is off the plan, or the version B, which was further down the spiral. The record that actually that was well known was the Downward Spiral. And yeah, it's a dark song. I won't even try to interpret the lyrics or anything. But I will say it's of all this stuff, it stuck with me. It got more airplay and definitely video, and Johnny Cash covered it. And I think except for a couple of changes to take out some profanity and stuff, I think his version is really good. So this probably will be the only Nine Inch Nails song I put on there, but
There's a lot of
you
like
don't
good
think so?
Nine Inch Nails.
No, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
There's
But
a lot of good Nine Inch Nails songs.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm trying to. There's some I can't put on because
Right.
they just wouldn't. They wouldn't fly. But yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I say that only because first let me self-check myself, because if I check you at Nickelback actually came out in 01, Nirvana, but you get the point about how we perceive things. Okay, self-check myself. Yeah, that album was just been, I have it. To tell you how big I was into Nine Inch Nails, I got a press credential. I went to their thing. I shot a Nine Inch Nails concert, which of course is bad. You shoot for the first 3 songs. Trent Reznor literally poured water on me because he saw I was taking pictures, and for whatever reason decided I was a good target and just had this water bottle just, and so then of course you had just people coming over on top of you because Nine Inch Nails shows were just, it was outrageous. Having said all that, it's a great song. I don't know how much it fit into this. You got to kind of be in that mood to listen to this song, because yeah, it's a great song, but man, it's such, okay, I want to hurt my, okay. And then of course, Johnny Cash did it and really took it out. But yeah, it wouldn't have probably been the Nine Inch Nails song, although to your defense, Mike, I had it on my list and I had this song on my list. So just to throw it out there. Now, I also had a couple other ones, but Pretty Hate Machine, he has a lot of good. The album before this was a lot really good. So, and then he's had stuff. In fact, he did the soundtrack for the movie Tron Ares that just came out. So he's still producing some great music. So love it. The song got to be in the mood for that bad boy.
If I can just add real quick before you go, Dave, sorry. A couple things I forgot to mention. One, I don't think on this song, but about most every other song, Adrian Belew was just on a tear at this point. He played on a Bowie album with a similar sound. He played on that King Crimson album that had Dinosaur on it that I put on before. And he played on this record. And that guy's just nuts on a guitar. It's just like, if you listen to it, some of the effects he does. And the only other thing I'll add, I was kind of divided on this, and even more in retrospect, he recorded a lot of it at the house where he was living, which is the former resident where the Manson killings happened, the Tate house, whatever, Roman Polanski. And I think he did that with this idea of having this extra kind of dark layer to it and feel when he's in the studio. He met Sharon Tate's sister later, and he had a complete turnabout on that. He was like, I felt like I was exploiting that, and she had helped me see it from a different direction. I just thought that was an interesting thing. That house no longer exists. It's been torn down, something else put in its place. But thought that was an interesting one. Anyway, sorry, Dave. I just wanted to.
That's okay. Like I said, Nirvana took us down a notch, and I kind of like that. And then when this one came on the playlist, it brought me way down. And I've listened to the playlist a few times, and there's a couple times I'll just have to admit I got to this song and said I can't do it right now.
In there.
After all the energy that we've had, and I just
Yeah.
so I did
You're not the only one.
skipped it a couple times because but when you live again when I couple times I really gave it a listen to all the way through, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. It's a pretty powerful moving piece. But again, in the context of energy, you got to be in the mood. You got to be in that mindset for it. And for whatever reason, at times it feels a little out of place on the playlist. And so sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can handle that. So, but anyway, it is what it is. I'm probably not going to be checking out a lot of Nine Inch Nails songs, but it's good that you're at least exposing some of these bands and groups that we haven't before, and that's good. We shouldn't be, I think, Mike,
Yeah.
like music snobs or all exclusive or only my music or whatever. And again, it gets us out of our comfort zone and gets us listening to other things, and it does that. So at that point, then we got to the O's, and my actually I had a song in mind, and it would have gone real good with the title of the Nirvana song, All Apologies. So there's a song by One Republic called Apologize. And I know you got to either like One Republic or you don't, but it's one of the songs that I kind of like from them. It's pretty cool. But I just said, no, I'm gonna keep going with the theme of groups we haven't used. So what are these other O bands out there? And I saw Oasis, and I'd only heard a couple of their songs. I think Wonderwall was one of their hits back in the day. And I said, well, I'm not going to play that one. Let me see if I can find another song. And I found this one called Little by Little, and it had a really cool mid-tempo kind of vibe to it. I like some of the lyrics of it, but my God woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and it just doesn't matter now because little by little, we gave you everything you ever dreamed of, little by little. Um, I thought the lyrics were good. I like the melody and the tune of it. Never heard of much of Oasis, but I thought, okay, this is a band I could probably get into and listen to a little bit more. Anyway.
Yeah, the music snob in me back in the day really undermined me because I didn't listen to that. I was like, I turned my nose up, but particularly Wonderwall. And there's a lot of bands that then the following thing happened that I didn't like, and then I actually sit down and listen to them, and I grew to like. And Oasis was one of those bands. I mean, I'm not a huge fan. I think the brothers are a little ridiculous. I don't know why they act the way they do. Maybe they finally got over it. Now they've had a reunion. I don't know if they are putting a record out or not, but
They're touring.
no, I
Right?
know they're touring. I didn't know if they're
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
recording.
Record out.
But they were because of that they were high on my list. In fact, they were one of the only O bands I had. It's a very similar situation with Nirvana because I'm like, oh, wait, what am I putting on? And there was probably a delay in my part of the. Wait, I'm skipping ahead, aren't I?
Yeah.
So we'll get back to that in a minute.
You'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
I'm in the
liked it.
same-
I like it. I like Oasis.
I'm in the same camp. Because initially, Oasis, they're the next Beatles. Okay,
Yeah.
let's but of course that's the music industry, that's selling the band. So, but of course, in our minds, it's like that doesn't sound like the Beatles to me. That's not as good because of already your defenses are already. That's not the Beatles. That doesn't even come close to So of course that immediate barrier comes up, just like Nickelback. Oh, they're bad, and and I have to admit, same with Oasis. I'm with you. I'm gonna listen to these guys, and then you hear Wonderwall, like, yeah, that doesn't impress me in the least bit. However, like I've always said, we've got to take a look at how they are, and this song is one of those songs. You're like, yeah, okay, I see why people go gaga for them. I mean, even this latest Oasis tour, people were just like, oh, I can't believe this is the greatest thing, and you're just thinking, is it? But to them it is, because this is their group. And they were huge. I mean, they were massively huge, and so for me, And it was like, no, I could care less. But after listening to the songs and Dave reciting some of the lyrics, I can see where they're coming from. Am I going to go out and hit the road to see Oasis? Probably not. Will I listen to their songs? I'll give it. You give it a better ear to listen to some of the songs and songs like this, which really are good and catchy. And I have to admit, yeah, they obviously have talent, or they wouldn't be on tour making billions of dollars. So, yeah, I enjoyed it immensely. From there, I thought I'd catch you all off guard. OAR. It's not or, it's OAR. So OAR is one of those groups that came out in the 2000s. That was kind of like one of those Dave Matthews Live, 311, those little kind of groups that are fun-loving groups, but don't really have a genre, but are and like Hootie and the Blowfish, frat groups is what I like to call them. Groups that are fun. And to accentuate that, they actually came to ONU and played a concert, and they were hot for a while. The students loved them. We sold a bunch of tickets. Having said that, two things. A, some students thought that they would be smart and try to go they were supposed to block the door for people. Instead, they go in and think they can talk to the band. Of course, the band just yells at them like, "Get the hell." Yeah, okay. Lesson learned by those kids. Yeah, don't meet your heroes sometimes. The second one was 30 minutes before the concert's going to start. Their manager comes up to our guy, our one of our people, and says, "We're not going on." Now we have 3,000 kids gym, and he's saying we're not going on because there's too much security inside the gymnasium. Now, there were our 6 police officers, our officers plus the 8 of police. Of course, we have to have a presence there. So I have to run to the manager, go get the head of security. He's like, Jose, because I was part of it. Jose, they're not going on. What are you going to do? I'm like, hold on. And so I had to have a meeting with the manager and the police, and I had, okay, what do you want? I want this. I don't want those guys there. Well, that's not going to happen because we have liability issues. Well, what if we go down to 2 officers inside and the rest stay just outside? Eventually, we came to a compromise and went on. What do you think happened during the concert? Oh, yeah, fights break out. Because, of course, they're calling drunk kids. We have to have security. But again, that's one of those things where you learn about how pretentious some bands can really get with their shit. I won't even tell you about what their writer had in it, just ridiculous stuff that you're just like, you're OAR. You're really not that good. Having said all that, they have catchy songs, fun-loving songs. People love their little tunes, and they were a hit for a while. I always kind of like this song from them. I thought it was a little different. I'm not a big OAR fan. They are kind of like what jam band elitists like me were like, this band, don't go listen to them. But they're good enough. So that's how I thought I'd put it on.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool song. I'd never heard of them, but you seem to come up with these some of these fringe bands that we'd never heard of. I didn't know that. You think you had told us that story before, but I didn't make the connection that it was with that band OAR. But I think you told us before about the issue with security and everything. That's pretty funny. Yeah, Catching Sunlight. It was, like I said, it went well. I think after the Oasis song, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Not much more to say about it.
So I didn't know much about them either. They sounded like, it kind of sounds like a country band to me, honestly. But I don't know. That's just hearing one song, but not that that's a deal breaker for me. I like lots of country. But I will say this, I think, is the one good relationship song on here. It's like, it's like so optimistic, and it's really a sweet sentiment. That even if you didn't like this band, it's like on this playlist, it's like, okay, nice, yeah, we're almost sitting on a high note till I come back, but we'll get to that in a second. And yeah, there's not much more I can add actually to that. I like the song. All right, so I really did kind of buck the trend here on these last couple toward the end of the playlist, though I brought it way down with Hurt by 9 Inch Nails. That last one was Catching Sunlight, right? Yeah, and then by Orr. Okay, so again with the O's, I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I don't know. I just got this. So there's this movie that if you're under a certain age, you probably have not heard of, called Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It had a lot of people in it that went on to bigger things like Sean Penn. At the time, I was probably 1982, 81, somewhere in there. I was just fanatical about the movie at the time. And it, I don't know if it holds up, but it has some, iconic moments, and it's generally funny. And there's toward the end, there's kind of this montage they do in some movies of like, how are we wrapping up all these characters, all these different storylines. And so when they're doing that, and it's at the end of the movie, this song comes on. It's Oingo Boingo, and the song's called Goodbye Goodbye, and it's this upbeat kind of, they call it rockabilly, whatever the similar sound of the Stray
Yeah.
Cats guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't know anything about Oingo Boingo, they had a couple of hits, but their singer and I guess songwriter went on to much bigger things. He wrote the Simpsons songs theme. He wrote Danny Elfman. He had a couple of solo albums, I think, but he done so many soundtracks like the Tim Burton movies. A lot of that stuff he did. Anyway, okay, so this song, it just brings back memories for me. It has no kind of relation to the vibe of the previous song. So I bring it down and then I jerk the tone back up at the very end. But I think one reason besides I've wanted to put this song on at some point. I never really could find a good time on these playlists. It just, I don't know. It's kind of a memory thing, but it's also goodbye. It's like the end of the playlist. So oh, that'll be clever. So, yeah, that's why I put it on.
It's a great song. It's a fun song. I love the song. There was that period where that type of music was it, right? Squirrel Nut Zippers, people like that. Or Stray Cats. People were really into that old 90s or something like that. So yeah, and I thought it was a great way to end the thing. It's just goodbye, goodbye, and it's upbeat and it's fun loving, and he gets into that little groove, and then he starts doing that little and you're like, oh yeah, this is working. So I know I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a good choice.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I appreciate that. I forgot to mention this is also a bad relationship song. So after you kind of give us a little hope, I dashed it on the rocks.
Well, yeah, I liked it too. It was a good ending. Can't remember thinking that I ever remembered listening to any Oingo Boingo or whatever. I knew it was in that early '80s kind of time frame or whatever. And so I'm glad that you mentioned, Fast Times, and I guess Breakfast Club would be another one in that time frame. And so I guess that gives me permission to put on like Simple Minds or The Fix or something like that.
No one's stopping you.
That's right. But I wasn't familiar with this one, and so that rockabilly kind of thing. I like that. I like that sound. I just never, with the Stray Cats and some of the other ones or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't know that that's what kind of music they did. If you said, "Hey, what is Oingo Boingo?" I would have been like, I don't know. It's probably one of those weird '80s bands that I didn't listen to. That whatever. But no, I liked it. I liked that.
Wasn't like Danny Gamboa. I think he was really into them or someone like that.
Uh-huh.
I think he was into them. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah,
Oh, well, I'm just to interrupt you. They were one of those weird '80s bands. This kind of guitar stuff was different from a lot of. I mean, they did the song from Weird Science, but if you listen to like the stuff that their regular non-movie stuff, it's kind of quirky, new wavy, kind of whatever.
well, overall, I think it was, again, I'm not going to use the hyperbole that it's the best or whatever, but it's certainly, I think it will go down in the annals of our, or annals, either one of them. It'll go down one of them.
Right.
As one of the cooler playlists. And like I said, when you need a little bit of energy, this will be one of my go-to, I think, for sure. And again, the fact that we explored some new music, hopefully our 23 subscribers will like it.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good overall. Like I was saying, Sean, this is Michael enjoyed this amendment. This is like the original when I did a review and shot the concert of Nine Inch Nails. But Michael liked this part. This is the actual page that we used to shoot on, right? You used to put copy
Oh,
on here. So you can see the copy comes out on and everything. But yeah, so just to say that, yeah, Nine Inch Nails was, and that was definitely an experience. I'd hate to see what I actually wrote.
that's a good photo. That
Yeah,
was a good photo.
and I can't find my negatives for it. And I have, like obviously, I'll tell you this. I shot it first three songs, then I went to go sit down in the seat I had, and I'm just there like, oh, I need some wide angle shots. So I thought I could shoot some. Someone from Nine Inch Nails came and like, give me all your film. No. He's like, you can't be shooting from back here. I'm like, well, that was only for the first three songs. So I found like a roll that I had. I'm like, oh, here it is. And so I gave them that. So I have some negatives out there somewhere. But yeah, they were hardcore about it.
Yeah, I used to sneak cameras in to shows. Got some pretty good. I had front row for Genesis, but my pictures did not come out. I was still really new at it was a film camera, and then Dire Straits and the Kinks. I got pretty good shots for that because I was right up there. But I had to sneak in it was an old 35 millimeter film camera. I would take the lens off and I would like stick them in my pants. This is before the days of metal detectors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hats off to you. And I had people do it. I had one show of the Kinks, and this is for me. This wasn't for any kind of publication. I'm standing up on my chair, and I get a really good shot of Ray Davies, and he sees me and he points at me kind of with this little grin. So I've been trying to find that photo, but I have it or something negative anyway. Same here. I like the playlist. There's nothing really I can add. It all kind of really flows together with a couple of idiosyncrasies, things in there that give it character, I think. And so, yeah, no complaints at all. It's a good.
We'll look forward to which videos we put up for the songs. That's always fun to see, and especially some of them maybe live versions and that kind of thing. And we're halfway through the alphabet, so next up will be PQRST for those who are anxiously waiting for our next playlist. It's already in the tank. We just haven't done the this part of it yet. So we've already selected the songs. We're not going to tell you what they are yet, but coming soon. And hope everybody enjoyed it. And we will catch you at playlist number 58.
A B C D E F G H I J K